Did you get the invites?
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
We can't hear you.
Oh.
I think, wait. Oh, no, we're not on mute. I think you might be on mute. So if you scroll up to your thing, a bar should pop up and there's a microphone. Oh, he's on mute. Oh, I know why. Because my computer is on mute.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Okay. Wait, I invited you. Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'll be right back.
We're gonna have yeah, we have another group joining us. It's also our ambassadors, but we couldn't all fit on one screen, so we're
That's fun.
I need my computer for home.
Entertain. Season puns.
So how was your day?
Going pretty well. How was yours?
It was fantastic. I had a quiz today, but I didn't do so well because it was a crossword puzzle.
Oh.
Yeah, and I didn't know the words to the answers, so I couldn't answer any of them.
That's an interesting quiz format.
Yes. But that's okay. Everybody else did bad too, so we don't realize it was hard. Did you get it?
It's good.
I'm trying to see if I can post a link, but it won't let me copy it.
Oh, but if you post a link, it's not good.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's to be expected, I suppose.
At least we're all in the same time zone. So it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's good.
Copy it.
I did. It just won't. I don't know how to work on that.
Yeah, I didn't either, but sorry.
Go back to your Gmail or your. Where's the image?
Right here.
Right. So then.
Oh wait, go there.
Add person, yeah.
JIN. What's your email again? JIN.
SIN.
Oh, SIN.
JAHS@gmail.com.
SINJHS at.
No, I don't know.
Would it work?
We sent you the link over Facebook.
Yeah.
You need to join in through that.
Does it work? If not, we can just share one screen. That's okay.
Are you in?
It's live.
Myself. There you go.
Hello.
Hi. Wait, I put in earphones. That usually works. Does that work?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm Amy. Number one.
Mute my mic. It's already muted. It's already, isn't it muted? Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Okay. Sorry, let's try this again.
All right.
Okay, hi, my name is Amy. I'm the one that you've been contacting or emailing you this entire time. So yeah, I'm a junior this year in political science major. And then we have a few of my fellow ambassadors here in the room too.
I'm Jay Show. I'm a communications team for APIA. I'm a political science major. I'm a sophomore.
Cool.
No, I think you're picking up on our mic, so it should be okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My name is Matt. I'm a API support ambassador, and I'm a third-year history major.
Hi, I'm Sue. I'm a junior double major in finance and Chinese. And then,
Hi, I'm Tashvi. I'm a fourth-year psych major.
And then
And then I'm Alex Senna. I'm the director for the Office of Regional Security.
Okay. Is it my turn?
yes.
Okay. My name is Doyan. I am a second-year master's student in College Student Affairs Administration program here at University of Georgia. And I am a graduate assistant in multicultural services and programs. And I work with, well, I advise the Asian American Student Association here at UGA. Yeah.
Okay. It's nice to meet you.
You too.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your program over there? And from what I know, it's under like a multicultural affairs, but how is that divided up over there at your school?
So the Asian American Student Association is a student organization that is under the umbrella of multicultural services and programs. So it's very unlike your structure over there. From what I understand of UF, it's like you're more of like an office that has an umbrella with other student orgs underneath. ASA here is a student org by itself, and we at MSP advise them as a student organization. And we, MSP, are under the Division of Student Affairs here at UGA, and the whole division is a vast entity with all sorts of different offices. So MSP, we're a staffed office with 8 other, with 4 full-time staff members and 4 GAs who all directly advise 13 student organizations, and ASA is just one of those student organizations. And we have a different office called International Student Life, also under the Division of Student Affairs that we work closely with, but we are not, we're 2 separate offices. And ISL advises multiple different ethnic-specific Asian organizations. So like the Vietnamese Student Association, Filipino Student Association, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Do you have
Hello.
questions, or do you want to So let's talk a little bit about your structure, about your institution. So again, so with the Multicultural Affairs Office, what are the resource allocations for you? Do you get a budget, or is it kind of pooled in a larger kind of thing? Do you pull from like a pool of money that other GAs or programs pull from?
So our office itself has a budget. We actually have 4 separate budgets, and I'm not particularly very familiar with the 4 budgets, but one of them is like the vice president for diversity fund that we get, and another is a state funding that we get from the state legislature, and another is student government allocated funds. And we run our programs from those 4 funds, and we have office-wide programs, things like student leader retreat and heritage months that we do. And Asian American Student Association, as a student organization, gets allocation from student government, and they have to go before an allocations committee in every April in order to get a yearly budget from the student government, and they get a certain sum of money, and it's split up by line item, and they spend the money spend that one budget of money throughout the year, and then that budget does not roll over into the next year, and so every April they have to go before the allocations board in order to get a yearly budget.
Okay. And so you don't particularly get a budget for yourself. You kind of just help support the students with the budget that they already allocated.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of student work. Yeah.
Mm. And then, so you don't personally receive any funding from your Multicultural Affairs office to help support the work that you do?
Well, our office has our own budget.
Okay.
But we don't like that budget does not fund our student organizations.
Okay. And so do you all do like more just like the more large scale multicultural kind of activities that kind of tie in all the different groups?
Right. Yeah. So we do Heritage Month. So we will like partner with different organizations and offices like University Union to bring in keynote speakers for Heritage Months, like Black History Month. We're doing APA Heritage Month this year. And we also have a leadership development kind of leader retreat that we do 3 times a year that we fund with our own budget. Yeah.
Okay. And so, like, how are you liking the job over there?
It's great. I really love it. It's been really amazing to get in the job, and I've learned a lot. And what I really love is that our office is really grounded in social justice, and one of the foundational values of our office is social justice.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do, we try to do in social justice, and we really push that out to our student organizations as well.
Okay. Yeah. And so, like, when you think of like your role, and part of the reason why, I guess to re-preface why we are setting this up and why we're asking all these questions, is that as an office here at the University of Florida, we're trying to also reach out and see what resources are in the Southeast region already. We also are trying to figure out how to effectively benchmark the work that we do with other offices. Part of the other reasons why we are doing this is to think of like collaboration. How do we collaborate better with other institutions who may or may not have our office or style of office? Mm-hmm. So I guess the questions is, I guess, coming from your standpoint, what are some really what are some positive things that you like in terms of how you feel supported or how you think the Asian community is supported, and what do you think is missing?
I think MSP does a really good job in supporting all of our ethnic groups, different racial groups. But I will say there is still a history in the University of Georgia, in the state of Georgia in the Southeast, where race has been traditionally construed as black and white. And Asian Americans and Latinos and Native Americans are often left out of the conversation. And MSP is also still affected by this history of the defining of races in the Southeast. And especially considering our history where we were 2 separate offices, one formerly minority service and programs, now multicultural service and programs, and the African American student, African American, what was it? African American Center something. Oh, I forgot. And so those are two separate offices. So minority service and programs serve kind of everyone who wasn't white, and African American Center supported just Black African Americans. And those two offices were combined from higher up in the administration. And so the services that we provide now, we have absorbed AAC. And so all those services are still provided from our office. And so from the outside, it seems like we have a lot heavier focus on Black African American students. And we really are actively trying to support all other races, all other people of color. And that is an ongoing thing that we are working on, and that includes Asian American students. I think it's like working with International Student Life, and they provide a great deal of support for a lot of Asian students, Asian and Asian American students, because they actually advise a whole lot more organizations that are Asian focused. And our ASA does a great job collaborating with a lot of them. And I think there's a really, really strong Asian American student community here at UGA. Kind of on a related note, I invited a student worker who is an undergrad student to join our call. I think, Amy, you got an email from her.
Yeah.
But she couldn't make it, but I asked her for some comments, and I think her words here are really relevant to that question. So I just want to read you what she wrote me. So she said, I think that MSP and ISL do an awesome job with Asian and Asian American students here at UGA. I think it's great that we have a space here and we are able to voice our identity and make a presence. However, I still think the attitude of UGA student body in general can improve. In my experience, it has been rare to hear about an event discussing issues like the reality of the repercussions of the model minority myth on Asians. It has been rare that we discuss beauty standards of Asians and how they differ from that of other races. For my Women's Studies class, I chose to do a project on body image in Asian women because I never heard of anyone else talking about it, even though I was fully aware, at least, of the Korean culture's idea that a beautiful woman is pale, skinny but curvy, has long legs, has double eyelids and a V-shaped face, and has a thigh gap. I was fully aware that the Korean parents emphasize beauty in different ways from that of our non-Asian counterparts, and I was curious to see if my experiences were specific to Koreans or if there was different experiences for other Asian women. It was only until I really looked into it that I found articles and blogs online of related experiences, which is why I'm so glad ASA is collaborating with the Women's Studies Student Organization, Women's Studies Student Organization, and doing a mixer on this exact issue. So I really think that we could definitely do more. While I think that one problem is that non-Asians are not educated or aware of our struggles and our history. Our histories get half a page in the history book. I also think that Asian Americans ourselves do not know much about our own history and don't really care to learn about fellow Asian Americans' history. We don't discuss what it means to be Asian or Asian American in the United States in the current times, and what it means and doesn't mean that we finally have an Asian show fresh off the boat. how our generation differs from our parents, like attitudes about sexual orientation, how one Asian culture is vastly different from another, how we represent our entire country as when we speak in class. We don't talk about what bothers us or what changes we think should be made in open settings. Some of these things we can attribute to how we were raised, but we need to think about how we want to raise our own children and how we should raise each other up in our generation. I think we can and should get deeper into the nitty-gritty issues that many API students here at UGA face. That was.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and that's in an email.
Yeah.
Can you send that to us if that's possible?
Sure.
Share. I think we would love to share that with our students too.
Yeah,
I think that
definitely.
the parallels between some of the things that we talk about and some of the things mentioned in there, I think, are huge, and in showing that even on different campuses, the conversations are happening, and they're happening in different but similar ways.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I guess something I'm just wondering is from based on what you said about the issues on your campus, do you I guess as the Asian American community there, do you have any ways to share these information with other students, or I guess what type of events do you put on, and how do you spread that to other individuals besides the Asian Americans on campus?
So basically, how are we involving non-Asian students into the conversation?
Yeah, and spreading the issues that you've mentioned.
That's a good question. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is what we hold in APA Heritage Month in the spring. So we've done movie showings, and we have a great new space where we can do that.
Yeah.
It's just frozen.
It's frozen,
Yeah.
I think.
It's frozen.
But he's frozen.
But we don't get any sound either. Last time he was frozen, he was still talking.
Is there a chat box? Yeah. That computer really hot.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's
My Wi-Fi suddenly went out. That makes sense.
You know what?
You want?
His
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
And ask him if he can just jump back in that way.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Wi-Fi just went out. But I'm back now. So where was I? Yeah, so ASA used to have what's called, I think they call it Asian Awareness Week, where they would hold programs of various things to try to get the wider student community involved in their organization. I think the biggest extent that really tries to get non-Asian student community involved into the Asian community is in festivals. So there's a lot of culture nights that happen. So almost every ISL organization holds their own culture night. So there's Vietnam, Night in Saigon, VSA, and the Filipino Student Associations have their own, and Japanese Student Association has a Japan night. things like that. And ASA has their biggest event is Lunar New Year's, and like 300 people come out, and it's like a half non-Asian students come to that. But I think that's that at that level of just sort of like doing culture shows and like having free food is really the biggest extent to which we try to bring in non-Asian students into the conversation. I think our office is trying to do a lot more this year, especially with this new social justice space that we just opened. That's providing a lot of opportunities for us.
Can you talk more about the social justice space? Is it only like what groups is it open to, and like what was the purpose, I guess, for it?
So it really started, the conversation to open that space started in 2013 when we got a lot of hateful comments on Facebook from anonymous people, with hidden IP addresses. And so the conversation started between our office and the LGBT Resource Center to try to do something better. So our office is located in a different building outside the main University Union, which is called Tate Center. And we're sort of located kind of tucked away on the fourth floor of a separate building, and so like unless you know where you're going, it's difficult to find us. And so we really got into a conversation of like how do we make ourselves more visible, and how do we get more conversations going. And so we renovated a space in Tate Center that is pretty, like, very, very central to campus, and where almost all students go through. There's like 2 cafeterias in there, and a lot of students rest there. So it was a really perfect space. And so we opened that space this year as a collaboration between LGBT Resource Center and our office. And that space is just a open space that remains open fully during the hours that the building is open, which is from like 7 a.m. to 12 midnight, I think. And anyone who is in the center can walk into the space and sit there and study or talk, hang out, or eat their lunch or whatever. We get a lot of students coming in on a daily basis to just hang there, study there, etc. And it's also a programming space, and the mission of the space. Well, the space is called the intersection. So the mission of the intersection is grounded in social justice, and as the name implies, we really want to emphasize this intersection of identities, of different identities that students may hold, and really allow different organizations to hold events there. We just request that the events sort of be focused on identity, or like involve some kind of intersection. Yeah. So it makes it really exciting.
Okay. You mentioned that like at the moment you're more focused on some social justice topics, I guess. And so I was just wondering if you go through any like leadership trainings with some of your student organizations, and if you do, like what are some things that you do, like, or like some of the teaching styles that you have?
Yeah, so 3 times a year we have a student leaders retreat where we bring in all the whole exec board of all 13 of our student organizations into a room, and it's an all-day training from 9 to 4 or 5, and we've done a lot of different things there. the most important things that we do in there are like policies. We want to like make sure they know how to do their jobs and things like that. And we get that through them. And we also do a social justice education, like social justice 101, and like we do some identity development things. And things we've done in the past are like bring in speakers, talk about collaboration across different organizations, across different cultures. We've done like allied behaviors, being an ally to, diverse groups outside of your own like your own ethnic group. We've done like leadership styles, like true colors, and like we're thinking about doing strengths quest in this next one. And what else? Yeah. So the structure of the student leader retreat has it's typically we bring them in for a large group session, and there's like about 75 of them, and we like do the important stuff like the policies and stuff, and then we split them up, and it's like conference style where like all the presidents of the organization will go to the session, and all the treasurers will go to the money session, and things like that. We split them up, and they go to these sessions where we train them on various things, and they also then at the end of the day they come back together and we do feedback and things like that. Another leadership development program that we do is President's Roundtable, and that's a once monthly program, like a roundtable with just the presidents and vice presidents of our 13 student organizations, and they'll come in and we have like lessons in each one. So we've done conflict management last time. We've done like mental health, wellness, taking care of yourself. And we also encourage students to share strategies with each other, like things they do well, like how to run a student body meeting really well, or things like that.
So I guess one of my other questions was, you mentioned that you have this leadership training 3 times a year. Like, is it structured specifically, or is it like the first one focuses on executive boards, and then the second one you get a new group of students, or?
They are structured. So the first one is in August, right as school starts. And well, I guess technically the first one is in April. So in April, we bring in the newly elected board together to do team builders. Like we make sure they form as a e-board well, and they get to know each other, and they get a solid foundation in like how to do their jobs and in the values of MSP that we want every student organization to embody, and get to know each other and things like that. And then in August, after the summer, all those same students who are there in April come back together, and we do more of the nitty-gritty, like nuts and bolts policy stuff, and we do like conflict management, leadership styles, more things like that to help them really get started in the year and doing well that semester. And then in the spring, in January, right after they come back from winter break, we have the third retreat where we we get deeper, and that one is focused much more on social justice, like allied behaviors, how to like really wrap up their year strongly, transition policies, and things like that. Yeah, and then yeah, because by January they've gone through some, well, because it's like in August they haven't really done much, and so they don't really know what it's like to be in a student organization, trying to run it, being on an e-board, working with other people, things like that. And so in January they've already been through a semester, and we're really trying to, and like what we say are hitting them a lot harder, we think. So that's the structure of the leader retreat.
Do you have questions for us? I know we've been kind of, we've been kind of grilling and just, question after question. Like, is there anything you want to know about our institution, organizations?
So I've heard a little bit about how UF works. Could you tell me a little more about the structure there? Because I thought it was really interesting.
Which part? Like student organizations or the office?
Both.
Both. Somebody want to talk about student orgs? And then
Okay. So our student organization, we have an Asian American Student Union. It comprises of 5 different sub-organizations as well as 2 programs, or 3 programs, I believe. So there's the Chinese American Student Association, the Korean Undergraduate Student Association, Vietnamese Student Association, Filipino Student Association, and then there's HEAL, which is the Health Educated Asian Leaders. And then the 3 programs under ASU is we have a Sparks magazine, which is a publication focused on Asian American issues, as well as a freshman leadership program focusing on freshman development and creating new leaders for the next generation, as well as our Asian Kaleidoscope Month, which is held in the month of October, and we do basically 5 big events and a couple small events focusing on different Asian American issues, as well as just celebrating culture.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how our student organization is ran. But most of the time, it's just like.
You continue talking.
Oh, okay. So so that's how our student organization is divided and ran at the same time. I guess each sub-organization does their own planning event-wise. So they have cultural shows, general body meetings, and social events. But it's open to generally all the student body-wise. And then so that's how our student organization is divided.
Really interesting.
Okay. Do you have any questions on our student organization setup, or?
No, I just heard I just heard small things about the structure there. I just hadn't fully gotten the picture. So I just wanted to know that.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned collaboration, potential collaboration efforts. I was wondering if you had anything in mind, or anything that you want me to take to my supervisors.
You want to hear how our department is set up?
Yeah. I can talk about both. I guess just going back to how our office is. So in our multicultural affairs, it's split up into 4 different areas. So there's the Black affairs, Hispanic Latinx affairs, there is the LGBTQ affairs, and then there's the Asian Pacific Islander American affairs, which is our office. So it actually started off as 4 different institutions all trying to combine. So we kind of did it backwards in terms of the multicultural and splitting down. We actually went from distinct areas and trying to combine into one. So we have a director for each office. Each office is staffed anywhere between probably 15 to 30 students each. And so we are actually an administrative office and not a student organization. Mm-hmm. We're allocated anywhere between $20,000 to about $30,000 or $40,000 each year per office, and that's outside of, or that's not including any multicultural work that we do. Our offices have 4 full-time directors, including myself. Currently, we're about to hire our 2nd programs coordinator, so there's going to be 1 for each area. Next year, we're hoping to take on the programs coordinator for API affairs and then LGBTQ affairs. We have 1 graduate assistant currently who is a PhD student who serves as administrative support and program support for our office. So each office has 1. Next year, we're hoping to have 2 graduate assistants in each of our offices. Currently, API Affairs employs about 19 students within its office. 3 of those are federal work study. 4 of those are auxiliary funds, or OPS. I don't know if you all use the same acronyms. So basically, it's outside source money that doesn't come from the university or concessions or E&G allocations. It's money that we can pay to students who aren't on federal work study. So right now we're on 4. The idea is that we want to get all of our staff paid on a minimum wage for hourly with a max up to 12 hours, minimum 8. The office itself is broken up into 5 teams. We have a APIA support, which focuses directly on the Asian American community. And that has 4 students working on that. We have an intercultural dialogue team, which has 4 students in it as well, who focus on all of our collaborative intercultural work, whether it's intersections between gender, race, socioeconomic status, and a bunch of different things. So 4 students focused on that. We have 3 students who are focused on our leadership development. Amy is one of those included, who really look at what is the leadership parameters, which is kind of why she's also doing this and trying to see, like, what are the leadership things, what are the programs that other schools are doing, how are we doing things comparable, are we behind, are we ahead, how do we support. And then we have a campus awareness, which is Sue, who you've just been speaking to, and she runs a lot of our initiatives that have to do with faculty, staff, administration, and campus departments. And then last, we have our communications team. So we have all of those different areas. So we do support students. We don't directly advise them. I might be a formal advisor to some of those organizations, but at the same time, we're more of like auxiliary support, but we can operate completely independent of how the Asian students are doing. And then next semester, actually in January, we are opening up our Asian American Center. So kind of, I think, like your social justice hall, the justice space that you have. Each of our areas will have an additional space where our offices, it's like a student lounge, student meeting space, / presentation / our offices. So we'll have that as well within the next semester. We also have an Asian American Studies minor that has been here for, I think, 3.5 years. So we're hoping to push it in the next couple of years to get it into an Asian Studies major, hopefully with the support of the administration and support of the students. So following up with your question about collaboration, one of the things that we're doing with North Carolina State University is in April we're actually going up as a group to both talk to administration about further supports for the Asian American community, while my ambassadors and students do a leadership development training for their students, since all of my student workers are focused more on the social justice advocacy activism side of things and the historical content. So they're going to be talking with those students in terms of, like, how do we build better infrastructure, recognizing that UF does pump a lot more resources into the Asian American community, comparable to a lot more of the institutions within the Southeast region. So there's that. We would love to collaborate and come up and visit schools and talk about the work that we do, run a couple of the workshops that we run here to see, are they the same issues? Can we train student leaders at other universities to do similar work to what we do? Other parts of it is participating with online campaigns that support. One of the major things that I've, as a part of a larger Asian American network, including NASPA, including like NAPASAC, which is directors of different Asian centers at different large-scale universities, is how do we get the Southeast region more on the map in terms of documentation and more in terms of presence and caught up to speed with issues. So a lot of the collaborations that we're looking to haven't been completely spelled out, but at the same time we're trying to figure out how do we support other universities, how do we get maybe people to visit here. One of the ideas from our alumni was like bringing schools to visit our center once it's open and saying like, look, this was a 10-year project. You can have this too, right? Like, we should never be the only Asian American center in the Southeast region. There should be one at University of Georgia. There should be one in, North Carolina State University. There should be one at Duke. There should be one FSU, like all of these different schools. So how do we take the things that have been done here, share that with different groups, and then at the same time, as a grad assistant, also connecting all of our other grad assistants. I know that there are a couple schools that all they have are graduate assistants that work in a multicultural office, or maybe their grad student is the Asian Affairs office. Like, so how do we create better supports and networks? Because I think, what year are you? You're probably you're second. So this is your final year in your grad program, correct? So especially if remind me if I'm wrong, you're also in higher ed administration, correct?
Yeah, college student affairs administration. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we pipeline people like you into positions? Because one of the bigger conversations we have is we don't have enough Asian faculty staff represented within our universities. So I think the idea is that this is the start to opening the conversation, seeing people in person, right, and then moving forward after this conversation and talking about, well, what are some things that we can do virtually and in person, and looking at our funding and resources to see how we can best help each other.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I think one of the easier initiatives that you could definitely collaborate on if you look at our website is Silent Not Silenced campaign that we're doing. And it's basically this idea of that the Asian American community isn't silent, that it's actually we've been silenced. We've always been here. We've been participating, but it's just that people have found ways to ignore our presence, right? And it's not like we've been sitting around and doing nothing. So if you have students who are interested, in putting up pictures of themselves with a word that they feel that they've been silenced about, with a story behind it, share it. The thing we're trying to do is we're trying to document all of these stories so we can share it as a Southeast narrative.
Awesome.
And trying to compile it into a larger piece of work. What are some other things?
Mentoring program.
Yeah.
Try to set that up.
Okay. Mentoring.
Just taking notes.
So with part of leadership, I guess it's we find that there's always a lack of lead mentors that have similar experiences with us, as, in Asian American or with dual identities, or even some of the professions that we're going to go into in the future. So one of the things that we're trying to set up at the moment is having a mentor program where we have alumni that comes back and basically help mentor and help guide the undergraduates. And then similarly with high schools, where a lot of first generation Asian American students wouldn't have the resources, or their experiences wouldn't really match up with their peers. And so we're trying to also set up a mentoring program with other local high schools at the moment. So
awesome.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, even peer-to-peer mentors. So you have an Asian student union at yours. What are the connections between the Asian student union with our university? Do we have a strong connection with University of Georgia?
I think our Vietnamese student organization and your VSA has a strong tie because they visit UGA a lot.
Yeah.
But besides that, that's the only connection, I believe.
Yeah. And so I think putting that, presidents of different organizations and connecting them, I think would be a great resource. But yeah, and I think another follow-up thing that we can do is that even if you have students who are interested in, one of the things we talked about was, as we're doing these info sessions, maybe we can we can get a panel of your students and a panel of our students to maybe pick a topic and do kind of like a share and debrief about, like, you know, if we say model minority, I know you mentioned that. Like, what are the conversations that are happening on your campus? How has that been perpetuated? How are your students addressing that? We can talk about, our students can talk about how it's perpetuated here, you know, how they're trying to go about it, and maybe brainstorm, and we can probably create some online think tanks to say, like, how do we address each of these issues, and building different groups around them. So some might say, like, well, I want to talk about gender, right, or LGBTQ issues in the APIA community. We can get like separate groups of students to meet online to kind of, you know, trade information and start sharing resources. I think that's probably the most easiest part for now, and then we can always just talk about like campus visits and things like that.
Yeah. Wow, that is awesome. That's way more than like we like even thought about before. And it's really awesome that you have this whole center opening. Like we would love to get more involved in all of these projects, and like I mean, I think we definitely need to do more for our Asian American students. So thank you for all of that. I'll definitely take it to my supervisor and see what we can do. I mean, they're really receptive to new ideas. I think they'll be really excited to work on that.
Yeah, and if you want, if it's possible, February 20th is the grand opening of the Rights Union for us, which is our student union. If you ever want to take a car trip down, that Saturday is the grand opening, so alumni are planning to come back. It's going to be the grand unveiling of our center, along with everybody else's center. So we're going to have programs, activities, speeches. We're going to bring back previous directors, or the previous director, some of the students who organized to get these spaces, make speeches and talk about what it took to get this Asian American Studies, my position, the students' positions in space as well. So if you're interested, it might be a good like info session, but at the same time getting to network. I think for you personally, especially when we're bringing this many alumni and other higher ed educators into town. So,
yeah. Did you say November 20th?
No, February.
February. Oh.
Yeah, February 20th.
Okay. Oh wow, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's amazing. And you also have Circle, isn't that right?
So yes, so Circle. So we have about 2 more minutes, but before the next kind of class has to come into this room. But Circle is actually, it was started here at the university. It did fall under our office. It became a student-run thing, though we fiscally sponsor them. I think Circle is now going to be held at Georgia Tech this year. And you froze. Oh, there you go. Did you catch any of that?
A little bit.
Yeah. So it should be at Georgia Tech this coming year in March.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So the idea is that, like, kind of like ICASU in the north, they wanted Circle to travel from school to school.
Good. Yeah.
Being held at the University of Florida. So I think this is their first stab since, like, I think 2013 to try to put it at a new university. And I think that will be on the 18th weekend of March. So you can just type on there. We can send you more information. We have to move out of the room, and thank you for talking. Okay.
Oh, okay, you're back.
So we actually have to clear out of the classroom now, but we'll follow up, and Amy will follow up via email with the questions, and then we'll probably try to send you more information about Circle as it comes.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Thank you so much. It was great speaking.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.